the judgy why is, why did you do that? The curious, I'm your guide, I'm teaching you how to make decisions, why is this one? Oh, so why'd you do that?
One of our vlogs that went up was the fear of disappointing people, how to get over that. And we got an awesome comment on it that said, Mel, are you saying that the parents are partly responsible in triggering their kids' fear to disappoint? If so, how can we parents avoid that while instilling open communication and discipline within the family?
It's a really great question. And I think over the last 20 years, raising 3 kids with Chris, we've certainly learned some things that work and things that don't work. And the short answer is, yeah, of course we're responsible for creating the fear of disappointment, particularly if we're judgy. And at the same time, I don't care how nice you are to the kids, at some point you're going to screw something up. They're going to be worried about upsetting you, and then they're going to start to manage that. I think every human being on some level is afraid of disappointing people, and they do things in order to avoid judgment, reaction, disappointment. It's part of being a human being. And look, I think every one of us should go talk to a professional at some point and sort out the stories that we made up about our childhood, and also create with professional help this next chapter of your life. That said, there are 2 things that my husband and I do that have fundamentally changed how we parent, and I believe it is responsible for a remarkable relationship that we have with our kids. The first one is this concept of your kids aren't yours. So many people look at their kids and think, oh, that's mini me. And everything my kid does is a reflection of me. And they got to go to the right school because that's a reflection on me. And they got to behave the right way because that's a reflection on me. Back up a second. Think about what the goal of parenting is. The goal of parenting is to launch your kids into the world as independent human beings. And so when you parent from a perspective of they're not mini yous, they have different experiences, they have a different personality, they have a different brain, they have different DNA, and your job isn't to impose everything you would do on them. It's to teach your kids, this is what I believe, it's to teach your kids how to make decisions for themselves, how to live with the consequences of their decision, how to be a human being that has empathy and kindness, how to be a critical thinker. You teach kids that by modeling it. And what's helped me a lot to switch from a top-down, do what I say, not what I do kind of parenting to being more of a guide in teaching my kids how to be decision makers and critical thinkers and to really discover who they are is this idea that they're not mine. They're individuals, and my job is to help them figure out how to figure out who they are as individuals. Second thing that's really changed the way that I parent is psychological safety. And it's this really important concept that's both applicable in work and life. And that is, if you want to have incredible influence over people, you need to operate in a way where you create a space that it's psychologically safe for people to come to you with the hard stuff. That if somebody comes to you, if your kid comes to you with the hard stuff, you're not judgmental. You're not bashing them. That you actually have the presence of mind to acknowledge them first for coming to you with the hard stuff, to validate their feelings and experiences, and then help them with the decision making. Let me give you just a super quick example of what I'm talking about to try to highlight the distinction between controlling your kid versus teaching your kid. My son Oakley came home from the dentist. He's got braces, and he smiled and his mouth was full of pink rubber bands. I mean, it was like, boom, a flash of pink rubber bands. Now, if you're the kind of person that controls your kids and everything they do is a reflection on you, a lot of parents would be bothered by their son having pink rubber bands on their braces. And the reason why is they want to control what their kids do. They think that having a son with pink rubber bands on their braces is some kind of reflection on you, and they would immediately judge it, right? Why did you do that? That kind of reaction to something that your kid does, the judgmental one, that always backfires. Because what you do is you squash your kid's spirit when you come from judgment. The better place, I think, the more powerful place to come from is curiosity. So the judgy why is why. The curious, I'm your guide, I'm teaching you how to make decisions, why is this one? Oh, pink. So why'd you do that? What you're doing when you have that kind of reaction is, first of all, you're letting your kid make their decisions, and now by asking that kind of question, because you realize that they're an individual, they're making choices for themselves. When you come from the curious why, now you've opened up a dialogue, and And what I discovered from Oak is that the reason why he had done that is his best friend had had a really hard day and her favorite color was pink. And so when he showed up at school the next day, he wanted to cheer her up. How freaking cool is that? Now, had I come from the judgy, my son doesn't wear pink on his braces, I would have just shut down this kid's spirit and I would have taught him something. Don't talk to mom because she's judgy and I don't want to disappoint her and I don't want her to react. Look, are you going to have to make tough decisions? Are you going to have to correct behavior? Absolutely. But there's a difference between being a parent and the moments when you need to punish and teach and the day in and day out engagement with your kid that is either going to create deeper connection to this individual that you're raising or is going to push them away as you communicate that the only thing that matters to you is your rules. It's not easy to do.
It's not easy to do. It's not easy to do in any sense of the term. Psychological safety coming from a place that's, I want to raise individuals and I'm not going to let my emotions overtake me. That is one of the most difficult things, but it is the most beneficial to raising human beings that can go out into the world and do it on their own.
Here's another example. A lot of parents tell their kids, if you're going to drink, I just don't want you to drive. Just call me. No questions asked, right? So then fast forward a couple months and your kid calls you or their friends call you and they're plowed. And you have to get out of bed at 1 o'clock in the morning and drive across town to pick them up. The next morning when you see them, do you punish them? In my house, no, because they did exactly what I asked them to do. And I'm teaching them the important lesson around responsibility. If you tell your kid that they can come to you for anything, whether it's to talk about sex or talk about drugs or to deal with alcohol or talk about something that is going on in the school, and you invalidate them or you go back on your word, that is the opposite of psychological safety. You're just training your kids that they shouldn't come to you, they can't come to you, and guess what? They won't come to you. So I hope that helps. Yes, we screw our kids up, every one of us, but try that on and let me know what you think. Just see if that changes your parenting a little bit. Are you the kind of person that thinks your kids need to do exactly what you say but not what you do? Are you the kind of person that feels like, yeah, that's true, I am raising individuals and I do want them to think for themselves and I haven't been thinking much about that? I would love to hear your comments and of course we would love to get more of your questions.